There's nothing out there.
There is something out there. And I need to kill it.
What's going on, everybody? It's Ted again with the Kansas City Geeks, and we have a very special interview. Star of the upcoming film Wild-Eyed and Wicked, Molly Kunz. How you doing today?
Great, great. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful, especially because this is such a unique and interesting film. I'm a big fan of horror, and this year we've just been getting so many kind of new and refreshing ideas, and I feel like this is one of those, something that you've not really seen done before, and it also deals with a lot of different personal conflicts within an individual, mental health and depression and alcoholism. It touches on so many things. Tell us a little bit about how you got involved with this project.
Um, I had I had actually been sent the script by mutual friends that of Gordon's. Um, and I read the script not knowing what to expect, and I was just completely blown away. And I was like, please let me audition for this. I mean, it was sent to me because they were interested, but like, I was like, I really, really want to be a part of this. This is so cool. It's such a unique idea. And the way that Lily's character is drawn and fleshed out, and how human she is, and how they just allow her to be everything, to be angry and hopeful and remorseful and complicated. Yeah, complicated, and just letting her be that. And the idea behind all of the medieval themes, I just thought all of it was really cool, and I wanted to be a part of it.
I had to jump to that part of it because you get to do a lot of interesting activities in this film. Did you have any background in fencing, or did you kind of needed a quick tutorial on how to do the movements and how to do the style of it all?
I had no background in fencing, and I took fencing lessons before we started filming. I took fencing lessons in LA, and then I had broadsword training as well, because I did not have a background in broadsword training either.
No, I think most people don't have a background in broadsword training.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was part of it. This was so unique. It really kind of comes out of nowhere, and it's so fascinating to see it on screen. And it's a modern film, and yet we're doing things you would not expect. And I'm like, wow, this is so fascinating. What was some of the additional things that, because I think you also ride a horse at one point?
I got on and sat on the horse.
Okay.
In the armor. That was really me. And then the face shield comes down, and the riding of the horse was not me, because it is actually incredibly dangerous to do that if you don't know the horse very well. And so the director's wife actually was able to double for me in that, because she owns the horse and knows it very well. And of course, animals, the clatter of the armor as it moves frightens them, and that's kind of just not a safe thing to do if you're not extremely comfortable with the animal.
Describe the experience of wearing a full set of medieval armor.
It's a lot of things. It's exhausting. I mean, it weighs so much, and
I can imagine.
And when you put the helmet on too, you're like, who in their right mind would ever fight this way? Because you can barely see anything, you can't hear anything. I felt like, a toddler who doesn't understand how to move their limbs anymore, because you're like, I have no concept of where things are. It was challenging, very physically demanding, but in all the best ways. I was so excited to get to take that on. And also, you just feel like such a badass. you put it on and you're like, yeah.
Yeah,
You're
of course. You can take on
okay.
anything, right? Yeah.
Right. And it is very, I think, particularly just how cathartic this moment is for the character, being able to really feel that weight and feel how hard she's fighting for this and feel it in my body. That was very cool and very cathartic.
I was surprised to find out this movie was filmed in just over 2 weeks. It was like 16 production days, is what the notes had read.
Yeah.
And Gordon actually says you never had a bad take. So he kind of
Oh,
puts a lot of the efficiency on your performance. Tell us a little bit about what it was like working with Gordon on this movie.
he was so wonderful to work with. He just trusted me. I could not have asked for a better relationship, like to have collaborating as an actor and a director, because there was always this open line of communication, and we both cared so much. I mean, obviously he cares so much, but I did too, and I wanted to put in, I respect him very much, and I wanted to like break down the script as much as possible. I really wanted to do it justice because I think that it's such a brilliant idea and such a great story. So we talked about it before we began, and we were just really always on the same page. And he's like, I trust you. You've got this. Like, you know who she is inside and outside. And you've, I think knowing that I had that trust and I had that vote of confidence from him, it just made it such a joyful experience.
I love it. I love hearing that.
Yeah.
Tell us, in what ways do you think you and your character, Lily Pierce, are similar?
I think we're similar in that we, both have gone through a journey in our lives, trying to reconcile with our past, and that's something I think I can relate to in Lillian, and I think everyone probably can. I think we all have the pieces of ourselves that we're fighting to make better, and I admire that in her, and I relate to that. I think that she has sort of a snark, I guess, like a a little bit of a quippy, snarky side, and sure. She loves a zinger, and I think that's I relate to that as well. I also, I guess, I started liking EDM more after the movie. I was like, okay, all right, I can get into this. So maybe that's how Lily affected me.
There you go.
But yeah, in many ways, we're very different, and I loved the chance to get to play someone who's pretty different from myself, actually.
Gordon also spoke very heavily about house music when I had an interview with him. So
he speaks very heavily about a lot of things. He's a very verbose gentleman.
Absolutely. And he said it was essential to include it. We don't have enough house or EDM music in horror films these days. So a lot of unique aspects of this film for the audience. Speaking of which, I feel like this story is so unique because sometimes you're wondering what is real and what is not, and it speaks about mental health, and it speaks about a lot of different things. In your own words, how would you describe this movie to somebody who you're trying to convince to watch it?
I would say you have to see this movie because you've never seen something like this before. You've never seen this blend of genre and the types of concepts, and the way we're tackling them is something you'd see in a different genre, but it's so cool that it's done in this genre, because horror is and I think that my perception of horror got reconceptualized when I did this film, because horror isn't always about the blood and the guts and the slashing and the jump scare.
Right.
I think what is so cool about horror and what draws us to horror as a genre, as humans, is we are controlled by our greatest fears. Fear is such a powerful presence in all of our lives, and the range of emotions that you can experience through confronting fear, through seeing it, knowing it, like that's what's powerful about this movie. That your fears are not the things outside of yourself. Your fears are inside of you, and what does it mean to look at them through this lens? And with such a cool metaphor, yeah, I would just say, like, you have to see it. I don't care if you're a fan of horror or not. You have to see it, because
I love it.
it's not. It's about being human.
Very well said, and I'm sure Gordon would appreciate that as well, because
Oh,
that is a heavy influence, is the many different metaphors that he's telling through this one lens. Wild-Eyed and Wicked is going to be released June 11th on TV on demand, cable on demand, as well as it could be pre-ordered on Apple iTunes right now. Molly, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. It's a very fascinating movie, and I can't wait for everybody else to watch it.
thank you so much.
Oh, also give my best to Jesse Martin. I think he's just fantastic,
I
and you guys
will.
are amazing on The Irrational.
Thank you. I'm gonna see him later today. I'll say, hey, you said hi.
I appreciate it. Thank you.